Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Raja Nadichalal. Dear viewers, this is part 6 of my interpersonal skills for PLAB 2 video series. In previous 5 videos, I have covered most of the situations which you can come across as a doctor in your clinical practice, and in these videos, I try to cover most of the scenarios which PLAB 2 students can come across during their exam. This video is about discussing sensitive issues with your patient, and first of all I will discuss advanced care planning. Advanced care planning is a process that supports adults at any age or stage of health in understanding and sharing their personal values, life goals, and preferences regarding future medical care. The goals of advanced care planning are to help ensure that people receive medical care that is consistent with their values, goals, and preferences during serious and chronic illness, and to offer people the opportunity to plan their future care and support, including medical treatment, while they have the capacity to do so. There is a five step approach for advanced care planning. Step 1 is introduction to your patient about advanced care planning. Step 2 is discussing about appointing a substitute decision maker or SDM. Step 3 is exploring your patient's goals, values, and beliefs. Step 4 is asking about care and treatment preferences. And step 5 is concluding the conversation. So let's go through each of these steps. Step 1 is introduction of the topic of advanced care planning. You need to introduce the topic and explain to your patient clearly what is advanced care planning, and offer if the patient wants to have someone else present during the discussion. You need to explore your patient's previous experience of end of life decision making. Patient may already have formed some ideas about what their wishes are, and you need to explore those. Useful phrases for this step: I am pleased to see you recovering from your recent health. I try to speak to all our patients about their thoughts, what they would want if they become more unwell and could not talk. It's often easier to talk through tough decisions when there isn't a crisis. Mr. X, if you became very sick again, have you ever thought about the treatment that you would want or not want? Have you ever thought about your wishes regarding your future medical care? Mr. X, some people document their wishes in an advanced care directive. Do you have an advanced care directive? Or would you like to complete one? Next step: appointing a substitute decision maker or SDM who will speak for the patient. You need to explain the role of a SDM, help the patient to identify a suitable SDM, explain how to appoint, and offer to include substitute decision maker in conversations. Useful phrases for this step: Mr. X, if something should happen to you and you are unable to talk for yourself, who would you want me to speak to help make these decisions? Do you like to make medical decisions, or do you prefer your family to decide for you? Would this person know what you would want? Would they be willing and able to make decisions on your behalf if you are too sick to do so? Have you spoken to this person who will make these decisions for you? Now that you have decided who that person would be, would you like to appoint him or her on a legal document to ensure that he or she is approached to make the decisions for you? Step 3: exploring goals, values, and beliefs of your patient. Explore their priorities of care, their goals of care, their cultural and religious values, their concept of an acceptable or unacceptable outcome. Useful phrases for this step: Mr. X, I'd like to find out your goals and the things you most value in life. For some, the goal may be to prolong life no matter what. For others, aiming for quality of life. What do you hope for most for the future? What is your biggest concern at the moment or for the future? What is the most important thing to you or to be able to do? What does it mean to you to live well, or what makes your life worth living? What things are important for you to be able to enjoy your life? What do you consider an acceptable outcome after recovery from a serious illness? For example, ability to talk, to recognize family, to walk, to go to the toilet, or feed yourself. On the other hand, is there anything you would find completely unacceptable and make life not worth living? For example, being unable to talk, unable to walk, unable to eat or recognize your family members. Mr. X, do you have religious, spiritual, or cultural beliefs that you would like the doctors to know about if you are very sick? Are there important things for me to know about how you or your family view illness? Mr. X, think about your preferences regarding where you live, which activities you enjoy, who are the people most important to you, and where would you prefer to be cared for if you are nearing the end of life? Step 4 is care and treatment preferences. In this step, you need to explore understanding of your patient about his or her medical condition, prognosis, and possible treatment options. And you need to establish whether there are any treatments the person would not wish to have either now or in the future. And you need to discuss the concept of a natural death and of palliative care. For this step, useful phrases are: do you feel you have a good understanding of your current health problems or situation, and what can be done to help you, and what are your treatment options? What further information do you need, Mr. X? It is good to hope for the best, but if things didn't go according to plan, have you thought about what to do then? Some people like to know about everything that is going on with them and what may happen in the future. Others prefer not to know too many details. What would you prefer, Mr. X? Are there medical treatments you have experienced or seen others experience that have concerned you or that you would not want? At what point, if any, during your illness, would you consider stopping treatments and changing the focus of care to comfort care? And final step is concluding the conversation. In this step, you have to clarify and summarize everything and suggest your patient about documenting their wishes and advise them speaking to family or substitute decision maker and giving copy of documented wishes. And it's very important to remind your patient that the advanced care directive may be updated at any time. So for this step, useful phrases are: do you have any other questions or concerns, Mr. X? Can we go through what we have discussed? Have you talked to anyone else about these issues? It would be helpful to think about what we have spoken about today so we can talk some more at your next visit. I will arrange for my practice nurse to talk to you about this in more detail. If there are changes in your life, in your health, or in your priorities in the future, we should talk about this again. I think it would be good to have another discussion about this. It's good if you can read through this information and talk about it with your family or substitute decision maker. Mr. X, this is an advanced care directive form. Have a look at this, discuss with your family, and bring it back to me, and we can fill it out together. Please bring your substitute decision maker with you so that they are part of the discussion. And when we have completed these documents, you should give copies to your family, your substitute decision maker, and send a copy to the hospital that you attend. So this was all about advanced care planning. Now some other sensitive issues. Do not attempt CPR discussion with your patient. Some background information that CPR success rate in hospital resuscitation is around 20% only, and it may be much lower if there are comorbidities or other reasons which make it less likely to be successful. People who survive CPR, only half of them will make it out of the hospital. Why we get a DNA reform completed? There are 3 reasons, and for any one of these reasons, you need to complete DNA reform. One is resuscitation is unlikely to be successful. Second is the patient doesn't want CPR. And third reason is that CPR may be successful, but eventually will result in a quality of life that is unacceptable for the patient. How to approach this situation? First of all, build a rapport and start talking about the current problems and treatments that are being given, and then bring up the matter of DNA CPR during a wider discussion about advanced care planning rather than jumping into it straight away. Explain to your patient that there is a risk things may get worse and the patient may deteriorate, and explain what resuscitation involves, and sensitively explain why the team feel it would not be appropriate. For example, there are less chances of CPR being successful, or the risk and burdens would be greater than the benefits, or the level of recovery would not be acceptable to the patient. Stress that do not resuscitate does not mean stop treatment. The form only matters if their heart stops. You can discuss with your patient their wishes and feelings about DNA CPR. However, do not take permission or ask the patient or relative to make the decision. At the end of the day, resuscitation is ultimately the medical team's decision. A patient can refuse it but cannot demand it. If a patient has capacity, they should be informed of the decision unless it will cause significant physical or psychological harm to them. If a patient does not have capacity, the relatives of the patient should be informed about the decision of DNA CPR. If the form is signed by a junior doctor, it should be countersigned by a consultant as soon as possible. And if the patient or relatives strongly disagree with medical team's decision, don't force it. Escalate the discussion to your seniors or ask for a second opinion. All DNAR discussions should be clearly documented. Some useful phrases for this discussion. Mr. X, one thing that it is important for us to talk about is resuscitation. You are very unwell at the moment, and we need to talk about what we would do if you were to get worse despite treatment. We feel it would be kinder and more appropriate to ensure you are not in any pain or distress in the last moments of your life. Mr. X, if it were to get to the point where your heart were to stop, we would not try to restart it, but we will still give you every treatment available. The form just means that if you were to become much more unwell and reach the natural end of your life, we wouldn't do chest compressions and shocks to restart it, because this can cause a lot of pain and distress and prolonged suffering. Eventually, your medical condition will mean you will, at some point, get to the natural end of your life, and it is important we talk about this before it happens. Trying to restart the heart in this situation would not be the right thing to do. We only have one chance at end of life care, so we want to get it right. Even if a patient survives resuscitation, they are often more disabled after and left with a quality of life that they would not want. Sometimes it is important to discuss this DNA CPR with a relative. So, some useful phrases. As you know, Mrs. X, your mother is very unwell at the moment, and we need to talk about what we would do if things were to get worse despite treatment. Eventually, her medical condition will mean she will at some point get to the natural end of her life, and it is important we talk about this before it happens. We feel it would be kinder and more appropriate to ensure she's not in any pain or distress in the last moments of her life. If it were to get to the point where her heart were to stop, we wouldn't try to restart it. Trying to restart the heart in this situation would not be the right thing to do. We only have one chance at end of life care, so we want to get it right. Even if a patient survives resuscitation, they are often more disabled after and left with a quality of life that they would not want. We will still give her every treatment available on the ward. The DNA CPR form just means that if she were to become much more unwell and reach the natural end of her life, we would not do chest compressions and shocks to restart it, because this can cause a lot of pain and distress and prolonged suffering. What is your opinion, Mrs. X, regarding all this? Do you have any questions or concerns? I know it's something very difficult to talk about, but this is the right time to discuss the issue about resuscitation before any such thing happens. Another sensitive issue is talking with your patient about end of life. End of life care or palliative care is also an important topic to discuss with your patient. Some useful phrases are, Mrs. Susie, please take your time. There is no rush. You are our main priority at this point. Please feel free to tell us what is in your mind. I can imagine there are quite a few things going on in your mind at the moment. Do you mind telling me what really matters to you at the moment? How do you think we can help you best at this point? I can see this must be a really very difficult both for you and your family. Having a family member by your side in this situation can be really helpful. I can see it is very difficult for you and for the rest of your family as well. Mrs. Susie, would you like me to speak to your son or your daughter or your sister? Sometimes it can really help in this situation. Please don't feel alone because of all of this. There are many ways we can support you. There are many people who can support you. There are many people who are very good at understanding some of the key things you are going through at this point. I know it is a difficult topic, but I wonder if anyone has spoken to you about what would happen if things start to progress quickly. And guys, this is end of part 6. Sorry for mistyping. This is part 6. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to watch other 5 parts of my IPS videos. Please subscribe to my channel for more informative and interesting videos. With this part 6, hopefully you will find everything you need for your exam preparations. But I will keep looking. If I will find some more important situations or scenarios, then I will make more videos. But at the moment there are 6 parts, so please watch all these, and you will have a very good knowledge what you need for your to exam. And best of luck with your preparation. Thank you very much, and see you with some more interesting videos.